Hi everybody, Marco Carbajo here from businesscreditblogger.com. Today's blog post we're going to talk about the cost setting up an LLC, also known as a limited liability company. If you're looking to form a limited liability company, there's three major decisions for you. Number one, do you want to do it yourself? Save some money. It does take some time to do that. Or do you want to hire a lawyer? Where you're going to spend anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for a lawyer to form your LLC, or do you want to use what's called an online incorporation service, which can range as little as $89 to a couple $100, depending on if you want to add additional services to make it even easier forming your LLC. So we're going to break it down for you step by step on the fees to expect, and first and foremost, when you complete the document, it's called your Articles of Organization for your LLC, you're going to need to submit that to the state. That's the first step. So once you find out the name of your LLC, what you're going to call it, you're going to fill out this document, and you're going to submit it to the state. And the state's going to charge you what's called a filing fee. Depending on what state you live in, this filing fee ranges anywhere from $50 to as high as $500. This is a one-time fee to file your new LLC. Now, once your LLC is registered with the state, they'll be able to provide you with a certificate of formation. Now, the second thing to realize is there's also ongoing costs you want to consider when you have an LLC. So, state by state, they have what's called an annual maintenance fee or annual report filing fee. Whatever it's called, there's annual fees. So that can range, like for example, in Michigan, it's only $50 a year. What you have to pay every single year to keep your LLC in good standing. So that's another cost you want to understand, that's part of running your LLC as an annual fee. And that varies state by state. If you don't pay that annual fee, then your LLC will not be in good standing with the state, and that's going to give you some hard time if you're trying to open up a business bank account or you're trying to apply for credit with lenders. They'll check to make sure that your company, your LLC, is in good standing. So you don't want to miss those payments to keep your LLC in good standing. They may even dissolve your LLC if you don't pay. Now, the third thing to remember is what's called a registered agent or resident agent for the LLC. Now, this is every entity in the U.S. has to have an agent or a designated person to accept service on behalf of the company. This is if your company gets sued or needs to be served with formal documents, legal documents. So this is what's called a resident agent. Now you have two options here. If you have a physical address and you live in the state in which you formed your LLC, then you can actually be the resident agent. You can designate yourself as the resident agent. So of course there's no cost for that. But if you don't have a physical address, let's say you have a P.O. box, then you can't use yourself as a resident agent. You have to hire a resident agent. Or if you use an online incorporation service, they usually provide registered agent services, which usually is around $99 to $120 per year, where they actually designate a registered agent for your LLC. Now, there's a benefit to hiring or using one of those services, and the main thing is privacy. Because if you designate yourself as the resident agent for your LLC, then your address, your physical address is public, and you can get solicitations. And if you want more privacy, then it's important to maybe consider using a resident agent service. So I just want to make sure you understand that. Now, on top of that, you're going to also want to set up an operating agreement for the LLC. Now, this is not a document that needs to be submitted to the state, but this is a formal document that's really important because it outlines everything on how the rules, how your LLC is going to operate, how your profits are going to be distributed, etc. So your operating agreement is something that you could create. You could purchase it online, or many times with online incorporation services or with a lawyer, they include it as part of the service. Okay, so your operating agreement is another fee that you're going to incur. On top of that, you also realize that once your LLC is set up, then you have your federal tax identification number. You need to get your EIN. Now, that's free to get your EIN. You don't have to pay for it. You can go to the IRS website yourself and apply for it once you have your LLC set up with the state. But with online incorporation services, if you just don't want to deal with it, you want to handle, then they charge you an extra fee for that. And it's a small fee. It's usually, I think, $69 if you want them to get your federal tax ID for your new LLC. Other things to consider is your actual ongoing cost for your limited liability company is a publication. Not all states require you to put a notice in a local newspaper that you intend to register your LLC, your company, to form your company. But some states require you to actually put in a notice in a local newspaper. So there's a cost for that. So you have to check with your state to see if they require you to put a public notification of your newly formed LLC. So that's a cost you may incur as well. Finally, the other thing to consider with your limited liability company is if online incorporation service. If you do use an online incorporation service, you're going to pay a fee for that as well. Because keep in mind, we suggest using My Corporation, and we have a link in our blog post where you can get a discount. But if you use My Corporation, they charge $89. That's their service fee to structure and do all the work themselves on your behalf. So those are the fee breakdowns for your limited liability company. So if you're looking to structure LLC, those are some fees I want you to take into consideration. Finally, there's one final fees that you need to keep in mind that is in addition to starting your LLC is your business licenses and permits. Now, your business license and permits are not required for you to actually form your LLC, but it's fees that you're going to incur in order to run your business legally. So, depending on what business you're in, where you live, you may need a business license, a zone permit. It really depends on what type of business you run, but you want to make sure that you find out what those costs are going to be. Now, as far as permits and license, you could pay for that. Search in an online incorporation service. They have all these other additional services if you need it. They're not required, but I just want to break down all these costs for you. So with that, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below by clicking the subscribe button for more tips like this on business credit. And congratulations for wanting to set up an LLC, because now you can start building a credit identity for your business that's separate from your personal credit. So for more details, check out businesscreditblogger.com. Make it a great day. We'll talk to you real soon.